Or let's say, let us continue the transmission with the continuation of your dialogues, if you wish.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Speaking into the mic. So it's an honor to be here. I've learned a lot from you about how to be more of my true self in the past 7 months or so, and it's been really
Thank you for
amazing.
applying the information.
Yeah. So a few questions.
Yes.
So today's topic of the manifestation space, is this real? So previously I've heard you talk about a parallax between like the mind, the heart, the solar plexus.
Yes.
That kind of makes this experience real.
Yes.
I'm wondering how the manifestation space relates to that.
Well, again, the idea is that it still has to go through a belief system in order for the personality to be able to function in having an experience that you would consider to be physical. So the manifestation space, as we said, can also be called the prime belief, the first belief. And the first belief is, this is real. So that's what sets up your ability to continue to use the parallax to reinforce the idea of the reality of the reality. Does that make sense?
So the parallax is like the kind of physical aspect of just creating that experience of, is this real, coming from that core belief.
Yes, it sort of helps continue the momentum of the idea that what you're experiencing is real. It gives it, shall we say, emotional depth. You follow me?
Yeah.
It makes it more dimensional.
Okay.
Because the idea that this is real has to be defined in a certain way. The idea of the word real has to mean a certain thing. And therefore the parallax gives it the emotional depth that to you feels like reality.
Okay, thank you.
It makes you invested in it, in other words.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yep.
All right.
Can you explain what your experience is interfacing with the template reality, like how you access it and like a description of what your experience is like when you do that?
Our world and our experience of our reality is very different than what many people on your planet might think. Many of you might assume that we're just a bunch of aliens walking around on the surface of a planet. But in fact, for us, it's literally like moving through a waking dream. We actually experience multidimensionality all around us, all the time. We can perceive the nature and structure of existence in a variety of ways. The idea is that, therefore, our reality experience is always, shall we say, overlaid with a bunch of different kinds of expressions or symbols or energy patterns and so on and so forth that represent our ability at any given moment to switch our focus into those other expressions of reality. So it's sort of like swimming through a symbolic soup that allows us to navigate and experience solidity where we wish and dissolve it where we wish constantly as we move through our reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
it's like living a waking dream.
So if I want to experience more of that, the answer is follow my highest excitement.
You have the instruction manual.
Okay.
Because again, when you raise your vibration by following the instruction manual and you're more aligned with your true frequency, then you're becoming more of a match to the frequency at which your reality is created. Therefore, in a sense, by matching that frequency, you have more efficacy at altering it consciously. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's sort of like the idea of your martial arts, where if you have somebody coming at you, the easiest way to divert their direction is to at least momentarily match their momentum so that you're not moving relative to one another. Then it's easy to move them in a different direction because you're not overcoming a force. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is that because in a lot of your videos I've heard 200,000 kilohertz being some kind of significant number as far as the frequency that we are looking to achieve.
Well, 200 kilohertz.
200 kilohertz, sorry. Is that the frequency that you're saying reality kind of shifts at? Or?
Well, it shifts into non-physical reality completely at 333,000 cycles per second.
Okay, so what's the significance of 200 kilohertz?
You're operating in a way that experiences reality much more flexibly.
Okay.
It's starting, in a sense, to break down into the illusion, but it still has enough solidity, it still has enough of this is real in order for you to still experience it as a physical reality, but it becomes very flexible, very magical.
Okay, cool.
Very fluid.
And next question is, What is it about lucid dreaming that will help become lucid in the physical dream?
Well, when you become lucid in the dream state, you can have more understanding that physical reality is just another form of dream. And therefore, you can see it for what it is from that perspective. It's kind of like climbing up to a higher level, looking down at something and going, oh, I see how it's all laid out here. That makes more sense. Lucidity in the dream state is more natural for you, and therefore it's more representative of your natural state, and therefore you can really see that you're creating the physical reality and become more lucid in it because you can see it for what it is, an illusion.
Right. So it's like kind of like in the dream state, if you're able to become lucid in that state, then you're becoming lucid in a way that's more aligned with your true self or your higher.
Yes, I mean, that's one way. Again, following the instruction manual is another way. You don't necessarily have to do it through lucid dreaming, but that's a technique that can work for some people. It's like anything, a permission slip.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep. Are there any specific hints or clues from my guides or higher self about that would help me take the next step on my path?
What does your path look like?
So my highest excitement is to teach what you teach to as many people as I can, whoever really I'm meant to teach it for.
To share the idea of the principle of how reality is structured with others?
Yeah.
And you will use your imagination to figure out how to do that in your own style, yes?
Yes, I'm doing that.
Okay, well then the next step would be to keep doing it, wouldn't it?
Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
Oh, all right, just thought I'd answer.
Thank you. Here's an interesting question. So my partner and I, we are planning to have kids in the future, and we've recently started communicating with them while they're still in spirit.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you'd be able to relay any messages from either one of them.
Why don't you get the messages yourself?
We can. I just was wondering if you might have anything interesting to say, or if they would like to through you.
One moment. Are you attracted to or planning any part of your path to intersect what you would call a tropical climate?
Yes.
Then the children are saying, oh, goody.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Let's see here. All right. One question from actually my partner. After following our highest excitement, so we're all learning how to step into our ability to do that more.
Yes.
What's after that for us to learn as humans?
As humans?
Or as...
Well, you will let go of all of the negative beliefs that don't serve you, and then you will start letting go of anything else that's not relevant for you. You will start streamlining yourself further and further and further. And again, as we have said, basically, you will start exemplifying the traits that will be representative of Earth becoming what we call the sixth hybrid race. Mm-hmm. You will start living more like we do.
Thank you. And last question is...
Another last question?
Oh, sorry. If I want to, or if anyone...
you what? Want?
If I choose to interact with you more directly myself, I guess I can just do that.
Understand again that we are being used by all of you as a template and a mask to have communication with your own higher selves. So even though you might be walking down the street and going, what would Bashar say? And it opens up a dialogue, most likely you're going to be talking to your higher self, but using us as a flavor to make it seem like you're talking to someone else, if that makes it easier for your belief system.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
My questions are, there's so many things to ask. But recently I find myself participating in a lot of festival culture and building art and building temporary zones for people to come together.
All right. How exciting.
And express themselves and spread consciousness. And there's a lot of medicines that are being used at these events. And I know that these are shortcuts to experience ways that we used to connect or talk and be.
Yes.
And I've had a lot of these telepathic type experiences happening.
Yes.
And then they kind of disappear and go away. And it's like I lose that frequency.
Well, they don't disappear and go away they shift their frequency to a level where you then get to apply physically what you've learned by having the experience in that way.
Yeah.
They're not going to stay on the same frequency level because that would make no sense because you need to do other things with it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. On the topic of multiple timelines.
Yes.
And feeling as if lately in March there was an eclipse and it felt like things opened up in such a way where past issues had come back up and allowed me to readdress them.
Yes.
And then it feels like there's a significance around what's happening with the eclipse in August.
Well, yes, the symbol in general, the mass consensus symbol of an eclipse, it means it's an opportunity to look inward, to face the darkness, to face your fears, to face the negative belief systems, and then deal with them so that once again the light within you may shine forth.
Mm-hmm. Is there, so there is a big significance about what is coming up here in August?
It's an opportunity like any other, again, as we just said. Use it however your imagination desires to use it. But it's all about looking within. It's all about revealing things to yourself that you may not necessarily want to look at in the light of day, but are willing to look at in the darkness. Because by being a combination of day and night, an eclipse gives you a balancing act. There is still the light, but it is momentarily eclipsed to give you an opportunity to look at what's going on within you, within your belief system, and then by clearing that out, allowing the eclipse to pass and bring back the light. That's what we said.
Okay. Makes sense. Beautiful. And what is your take on the practice of Vipassana? I'm just curious.
Define.
A 10-day meditation type practice in silence.
Are you describing yet another permission slip?
I mean, yeah, I guess.
You guess?
Yeah.
Would you like us to be more definitive about what permission slips are?
Please.
Are you paying attention?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you really sure?
Uh-huh.
All right. Repeat after me, if you would. All tools.
Tools.
All techniques.
All techniques.
All rituals.
All rituals.
All objects.
All objects.
Are permission slips.
Are permission slips.
Use them how you will.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
Simple, yes?
Yes.
Simple. All right.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. Same to you. First of all, this is the third time that I'm here.
Is this the charm then?
No, and this is something very interesting in my case
Yes.
because the 3 times that I've been here, I've been called,
Yes.
which is great.
Thank you for your synchronicity.
Yes, I will say we both are in synchronicity.
Yes.
And now my real question is, I can even really formulate the question because it's beyond my understanding.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Let
No,
me
it's
finish.
not. No,
Okay,
it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, 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 no.
Just listen and wait.
No, 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 no.
He did the same thing last time. So anyway,
If it was beyond your understanding, you wouldn't know there was a question.
again, he got me right. Anyway, the theme, if I recall well, that I have really bad memory, is manifestation, right? How to manifest the thoughts.
The manifestation space, yes.
Yes.
It's how you do manifest, becoming more conscious of how you already manifest. Not how do you manifest, not and if you are learning it. No, you already know how to manifest. It's becoming more aware of how you already manifest.
Yes, that is exactly what I still dealing with this question.
Yes. What question is that?
I've been having, well, I have one, I'm afraid to have regression, just like my wife says. And when I have it, it's always something different. I wouldn't say weird because we all are a little bit weird, but it's great.
All right.
The last one was some sort of an animal, like an eagle and unicorn and all of those things.
Yes.
And every time that I am in those mental state,
Yes.
I just don't want to come back.
So, don't until you do.
Well, This is exactly the question, because if I come back, I would love to come back and manifest that reality here.
No, not necessarily. But you
Why
can
not?
manifest the energy of that reality in the form in which it will work where you are. It doesn't have to look like it does on the other level. It needs to look like it needs to look on the level that you're operating on, but the energy will be the same. You're just under the mistaken impression that it has to look the same. It doesn't look the same on different levels, but it's the same energy.
That is exactly why the question might not be beyond my understanding, but your answer it is. How can I manifest something that is some sort of in dreams or in another reality? And if my feeling to manifest it here, the same level, the same degree, or even better if it's possible, in this reality.
Well, the imagination you had, the image you had, the symbol you had on that level has a certain feeling, has a certain state of energy being to it. All you have to do is remember what that felt like, and you'll be in the same state of being. Then acting from that state of being, you will manifest whatever form it needs to look like in this reality.
All right, let's stop right there.
Oh, all right.
I feel and I feel that moment, that energy.
Wait a minute. You just told us to stop.
Yeah, to stop.
Oh, how come you're still talking?
Because you're the one who's going to stop while I'm talking. Other than that, you are answering something that is not yet the question.
Don't you understand that I'm having some fun with you?
Of course, we both are having fun.
All right.
Yeah, other than that, there is no point to be here, and I love this.
All right.
Now,
so
the question, manifesting that reality, that energy right here in the same way, how can I do that? Or if it's
I'm telling
or
you that you don't need to do it that way. The point is some symbols on certain realities don't work in other realities. It has to manifest in a way that is relevant to the reality that you're manifesting in. It doesn't have to look the same. It often won't look the same. You are focused on the surface appearance instead of the energy of the thing. Stop focusing on the surface appearance. Do you know what a tesseract is?
No, I don't.
Do you know what a cube is?
A cube? Yeah.
Yes, a cube. All right.
Yeah.
If you imagine seeing a cube, and let's say each face of the cube, you could see, maybe it's transparent and you can see all the way through the cube? Yes?
Yes.
You have that in your mind?
Yeah, I'm putting that in my mind.
All right. Now, the cube is the way it manifests in your particular reality. In a higher reality, it's a tesseract, and what that means is, when you look at one face of the transparent cube, you are seeing to the back of the cube, right? You can see the other face on the other side, yes?
Yes.
Because it's transparent. But on a higher level, that's actually a different cube. And when you go to the next face and you see the back of the cube, that's actually a different cube. Now, in your reality, a transparent cube is simply going to be a cube from every direction. It's not going to be 6 different cubes. But on a higher level, it will be. So if you go to the higher level and you see the tesseract, that is actually a multitude of cubes overlapping in the same space, different cubes, different volumes, you can understand the energy of that. And then when you see the cube in your reality, by giving it the same energy, the same state of being, you can get the same effect that the tesseract gave you, but a tesseract doesn't manifest in your reality. You can't insist that it does in the same way because it may not need to in order to give you the same effect in your life. Does that make sense?
Sort of. So that means the manifestation, no matter how we want it to, or we strongly feel,
yes,
it won't work.
It may not work. What I'm saying is don't insist on it, or you may be overlooking the fact that what can easily look like a unicorn on one level might only show up in your reality as a horse. But if it's the same energy, if it's the symbol that represents the same state of being, why ignore the fact that the energy has come to you? You've manifested it, but you've manifested it in the symbol that works in your reality so that it will work in your reality instead of being something that has to fit itself in your reality because most of your reality says unicorns don't exist. So why insist that the form has to be the same when the effect is the same, which is the point?
So therefore, manifestation also has to do with the type of reality or dimension that you're living.
Absolutely. This is called the resonance of similars.
Wow.
So the idea is, and it works in many other ways. Let me put it to you this way. You know those ESP tests that many of your scientists are often doing with people who say they are psychic?
Yeah, I heard.
And they say, well, I have some cards here. I want you to tell me what card I'm looking at. Now, the person doing the test may be looking at the ace of spades. And the so-called psychic, in getting the vibration, may say, oh, it's the Queen of Hearts. And the person doing the test says, no, you are wrong. You are not psychic. What they're forgetting and overlooking is the resonance of similars, which means the ace of spades to the person doing the test energetically may be representative of a winning card. To the psychic, maybe they played a card game once in which they won the card game with the Queen of Hearts. So to the psychic, the Queen of Hearts has the same energy, a winning card. So they're not wrong energetically. They're picking up on the winning card energy that the tester is holding in their hand that simply to the tester looks like the ace of spades, but doesn't look that way to the psychic because they have different symbols for expressing the same idea. Does that help illustrate the point?
Really help and put me in more trouble.
Congratulations. Happy to help.
Okay, let's see.
No, that's enough for now.
All right, it's enough for now. Thank you.
Thank
Bashar.
you. Get on your unicorn and ride
Next
on.
time I'll make it.
And by the way, symbolically, in terms of imagining and manifesting on that level the unicorn, it's sort of a symbol of helping you get the point.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
Thank you to you as well. I've been having some health issues the last 7 years, and I think I've been making some good progress on it, but I figured I'd get your medical opinion.
I do not give medical opinions.
Your energetic opinion, how about that? Or just your opinion in general.
First of all, on the physiological level, we do not do health readings, nor do we give any kind of real health information in that sense at this point, because we've delivered everything we need to deliver, and therefore, as a reminder, if it's not something that you've already done, the first step physically is to completely and thoroughly as possible detox your body. Mm-hmm. Once you have done that, whatever symptoms remain are the symptoms you're actually dealing with of a dis-ease, because 80 to 90% of so-called disease symptoms in your society are actually the result of toxicity in your system.
Yes.
So once you detoxify, you'll at least know what you're actually dealing with, and in fact, most of it may actually go away. Mm-hmm. Energetically, of course, as we have already discussed, you have to start looking at what you're getting out of having the experience, what you are learning that you might otherwise not have learned.
Absolutely. And the last 7 years has been a process of totally detoxing, like taking a magnifying glass to every aspect of my life, relationships, physical environment, food, everything, and going through and doing my best to figure out what's serving me, what isn't.
All right.
And I do realize that this entire experience, it's sort of like this boot camp to really like set me on the straight and narrow, so that I can be capable of more. So I am seeing it as a blessing.
All right.
And after hearing you talk earlier about like self-limiting beliefs, like I have felt like I'm blocked, and I learned just minutes ago that like I have that belief that I am blocked and therefore I'm blocked.
Yes.
The core of the question is, so I'm going to continue to do that work on beliefs. Is there some sort of toxin in my environment that I'm missing? Because there's like a million different variables, and I'm just curious if anything pops up.
I have one suggestion.
Okay.
Say that in your environment, perhaps there are a dozen variables instead of a million. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that make it feel easier already?
It really does. Thank you.
remember, pay attention to what comes out of your mouth, because you may be creating way more difficulty in your challenges than you need to, just by the way you're framing the experience or your relationship to it. You follow?
I follow.
So maybe there is a thing that you need to become aware of. It doesn't mean that there are a million things you need to become aware of, because otherwise, don't you feel a little overwhelmed when you say it that way?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's keep it down to manageable levels.
Okay.
This is a good practice for all of you in any challenge that you have. Start with a version of it that's on a manageable level according to your belief system. If you say, there are a million variables here I need to look at, well, you almost don't even want to get off the couch. But if you say, okay, there's one thing perhaps that I could research, I could investigate, I could look at, well, that's manageable. I'll take it a step at a time. I'll start with that. If there's another one, then it'll come at a point and in a way that I can manage that too, because I'll have built on my experience with dealing with the first one. So at least make it in manageable steps, if nothing else. Yes?
Thank you.
Now, in what way has the so-called health issue expressed itself physically?
So some levels of fatigue, but for me it's mostly cognitive, difficulty with memory and concentration. My main complaint, I guess, would be difficulty handling stressful situations. A lot of times my brain will just completely...
I will ask you one physical question.
Absolutely.
You might want to check and see if your electrolytes are depleted.
Thank you.
Yes?
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Will that do for that?
That is a great first step. Thank you.
All right.
Another question on fear versus intuition and being able to differentiate between the two.
You can't tell the difference between fear and intuition?
I mean, most of the time, like they're both voices seemingly in my head, right?
Don't they feel different? Or is it that you have an intuition and then you have a fear about it?
That could very well be the case.
That's different.
Yeah.
You ought to be able to tell the difference between the intuition and the fear that might be a separate experience about the intuition. If you think about it that way, look at it that way, set it up that way, maybe it will be easier for you to suss out what the fear is being generated by, what negative beliefs is generating the fear. Mm-hmm. If you don't assume that it's difficult to tell the difference between fear and intuition, but that you know when you're having an intuition, and then you can recognize when you're having fear about what you're intuiting, that may give you something easier to work with.
Okay.
Yes? You. So you're not smashing them together where you can't tell them apart, because that's a definition. Your definition is smashing them together, making it more difficult to tell them apart. So have a definition where you say, no, my intuition is clear when it's happening, but I realize that separately, I'm having a fear reaction to it. Well, now I have something to work with because I can separate the two and see them both clearly for what they are, yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
That does help. One last question.
Yes.
In your previous videos, I've seen people ask questions a couple times about, you can call it the downfall of the financial situation or like the evolution of it.
Yes.
And I'm curious how much cryptocurrency plays into that.
Not much.
Not much?
No.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask a general overall question. Nobody needs to answer, but you can ponder it. In many of these conversations, many of you come up to us and say, well, I've seen you in your previous videos say this. I've seen you in your previous videos say that. How come nobody comes up and says, I've seen you in your future videos say this, and your future videos say this? Let's just let that question sink in.